So this video is for someone who cares deeply about their own future family, who wants to build a healthy relationship with their family in the future, who wants to build and foster a healthy relationship with the family in the future, with their parents right now, with their siblings, with their sisters, their brothers, their friends, their close friends, and themselves. Now, I'm not going to show you any goals or any wealth type topic. In this video, it's for someone who wants to build a healthy, fulfilling relationship with their close friends, with your partner, with your wife, because I don't want you to go through the same problem as I did. I've been in a relationship with multiple, well, I don't want to say girls, well, women, right? I've been in a relationship with multiple women. Even though I am a Muslim, I am telling the truth right now. I know I'm not supposed to do that, but this is for experience. And I've been in a relationship where everything was messed up. All the dynamics, all the masculine energy and feminine energy, it wasn't matching. It wasn't matching up, and what it leads to is a lot of breakups, a lot of toxic endings, a lot of self-sabotage, a lot of times where and moments where I sabotage my relationship. And I know for a fact the reason I sabotage my relationship is because of my past or my old story. Now in this video, I'm going to show you and I'm going to explain to you and try to raise awareness in you on why you have to actually conquer this problem and actually resolve the problem of this continuous repeated cycle of self-sabotage in relationships. So if you're watching this, you're probably someone who went through a breakup or in the middle of a relationship right now. Perhaps you're 18, or perhaps you're 19, 20, or even older, 30, 40. Whoever's watching this video, men or women, right? My audience is for men, but if any female, any sister is watching this video, it's also very important for you, because having because if a male or if a man is masculine, the female needs to be feminine as well, right? It needs to match. This polarity needs to match, right? So for women watching this, it's also very important. So for the men, if you don't have the goal of building healthy relationships, then don't watch this video. Skip. This video is only for the men who wants to be safe, who wants to be secure, who wants to have good communication with their wives, with their kids, and not traumatize their kids. Because 99% of people, men and women in this world, are officially traumatized by their parents, by their siblings, by their sisters, by their environment, by the time where they were living, right? A lot of people are traumatized, and I'm not meaning to say that like abuse, sexual violence, and sexual assault, those are what we call the event. Those are the obvious side of trauma. Now, the not so obvious side of trauma is having dysregulated parents or unsafe parents. What we're going to discuss here is the importance of regulated or safe parenting. Now, I'm not a husband, I am not a father, but what the mission is, what my mission for all of you, for you, is to understand that in order for us to not traumatize our kids, in order for us to build a healthy, loving, fulfilling, a strong, a capable, a disciplined kid, son or daughters, we must do our inner work before we get there. Throughout the experiences that we went through, like breakups, like relational loss, Like if you lost your father, like I lost my father when I was 16, which is around 1.5 years ago, and then that that is where that shifted my whole life. But besides that, first you have to understand this goal, this mission is for you to not traumatize your kids, and the only way for you to do it, the only way for you to avoid that traumatization, avoid being a dysregulated parent, avoid bad parenting, is to do the inner work, is to resolve and overcome the problems that you've been going through, that you know that it's sabotaged your life, your relationship in today's world, in the present moment. Why? Because if you do the work now, because now is always the best time, you will for sure be better at parenting. You will for sure become a better father, become a better mother, right? This work is for both males and female. But if you're watching and you're a male, then you can relate to me even more, because I've been through a lot of relationship losses, multiple girls, and I see the pattern that keeps on showing up. I have that fear of sabotage, right? This is me and this is fulfilling relationship. That pattern in the middle, I'm always stuck in the middle. I cannot get to a part where my relationship is fulfilling, where I can foster a healthy, loving relationship. I can't. Because why? I'm still repeating those patterns that are very, very not beneficial to me and does not serve me anymore. And because if we keep on repeating those patterns and we never change ourselves, and we just be in comfort zone and not prioritize, or we don't approach the problem as it is, then in the future, when we have a family, we will not going to be able to communicate with our wives well. We were not going to be able to communicate with our sons and daughters well. Do you want that? If you don't prioritize this at all, then click off this video. Because listen here, you've seen a lot of stories, right? Stories where the father just divorced with the mother, and now the kids, well, what is the kid gonna do? Pick a side? That kid is gonna get traumatized. You see the father keep on yelling, punishing the kid in a way, well, punishing is fine, but in a way that is not proper is not fine. The kid will also grow up sabotaging his own relationship as an adult. Your daughter is going to end up sabotaging her own relationship as an adult. And who wants that? Now, I'm just a guide, I'm just a wizard who just stepped by in your life in this adventure. And I'm just telling you to do the inner work. And I'm just telling you here for you to descend into your own deepest soul and look at yourself. Imagine you see the lake. If you see in a cartoon, you see a reflection of yourself. See yourself first. Discover and explore the parts of you that will lead to something that is not positive at all. Because there are parts of you that is affected by the past that now in the present moment is still ongoing. And in any way possible, it always manifests in relationship. That's the number one way. That's the number one way it manifests. It also manifests in your goals. It also manifests in your purpose, in your career, in yourself. If you have inner voices or you have some kind of conflict between yourself. My friend actually had a lot of war and conflict and overthinking within himself, and I helped him recover through this little by little. And you can also do the same thing. Because why? If you overthink, if you are this person that is, how we call it, social hypervigilance per se, then in the future you will keep overthinking, let's say about your kids, and that can lead to sabotage, because now you're perhaps you're doing, you think you're doing everything right, but you're actually wrong. You're not supposed to do that. You keep on overthinking, so you assume things. You assume the worst case scenario will happen, and then you do things that will lead to not, you do things that will lead to the prevention of that worst case scenario. But that process that leads to your worst case scenario is actually sabotaging your communication with your wife and with your kids. Do you get what I mean there? Just visualize yourself. How can overthinking that is very chronic, that is very, very obsessive, that's why it's called overthinking, overly, obsessively, can ruin your relationship with your wife, with your kids? There's a lot of possibilities, right? And if you're going through it still right now, then you have to recover from it. You have to recover from being in conflict and then shutting down all of a sudden. Do you realize you keep on repeating those patterns in relationships? Because I do. Whenever I'm in a conflict, I keep on shutting down. I keep on getting away because I don't want to feel like I'm blamed. So what I do, I just blame the other person, or I guilt trip the other person, or I manipulate the other person, even though I don't want to. But that's why this is your autonomic. It gets a bit clinical and a bit sciencey, but I'm just going to make it simple, because simple is the biggest complexity. Right? Simplicity is the biggest complexity. So, you being this way is an autonomic thing. What it means is that your body learns to respond or to react like this. So you overthinking, you being hypervigilant, you shutting down in conflict, you avoiding conflict, you doing all these patterns that will not serve you anymore, means that your body learned as a coping mechanism to do this, to respond in this specific way in order for your body to stay safe. Because if your body does not do this, then what it will do is that it will feel that old original pain that you experienced in the past. That's why I say not all trauma, like sexual assault or abuse or domestic violence, will be the only solely reason you are going through this problem. Like anxiety, chronic anxiety or stress, is not only, it doesn't only happen to people that has actual traumatic event, right? It also happens to me. It also happens to you. Well, we both might also be in denial that we didn't go through anything traumatic, but something that is trauma or something that is traumatic, it doesn't mean that you have to go through these events in order for you to be traumatic. I mean, I can say that my father passed away at a young age. That's traumatic for me. But it doesn't affect me as much as my parents being dysregulated before my father passed away during childhood, right? Because when your parents is dysregulated, they won't show you the best way for you to handle yourself. Like let's say you remember yourself just throwing out tantrums during your childhood when you were small. Perhaps you remember, perhaps you don't, but you threw tantrums every single time. And then you remember perhaps your parents, how they treat with your tantrums is like just punishing you, just stopping you, just yelling back at you. And that makes you think that you cannot release these emotions, that it's not safe to release emotion. So what you will do is, so you will suppress it. You will silence it, or you will make it exiled, right? If something is exiled, EXILED, it means that you're putting it away, you're trying to ignore it. Those are the repressed emotions that in this present day, it affected by your childhood. And just because of that small stuff, just because of that tantrum and your parents couldn't, respond in a good way, just because of that, you will go through a nervous system that is also dysregulated as well. And so you'll have repressed emotions. That now, when you have repressed emotions, think of the possibilities on how repressed emotions will affect a lot of people, will affect your relationship with your friends, communication with your partner, communication with your parents as well. Imagine that. So again, what I want you to take away from this video, I know I explained a lot of things and I hope you understand what I want to convey, what message I want to convey in this video is for you to take this knowledge seriously, right? There's a lot of other work and tools and resources that you can find in my videos, which I'm going to make more. But from this video, what I want you to take away, is that you have to understand that in order for you to build and foster a healthy relationship, besides all the personal development space, self-improvement space, like going to the gym, meditating, journaling, getting a 10 out of 10 woman, right? If you're still onto that, I'm not, because I'm a Muslim and I know my ways. But if you're still onto those self-improvement, then keep on doing that. But also remember that you have to do this inner work. You have to go deep inside yourself. You have to descend into the soul and integrate yourself. You have to descend down into the water and ascend into the sky, into the air. And in order for you to do that, you must first self-reflect. You must first go deep inside yourself. Descend into your own soul. See the parts that does not serve you anymore. What is it? Be aware of you shutting down in conflict with your parents, with your friends. And then be aware, get a full understanding of, oh, if I keep on doing this forever, think of all the possibilities of how it can affect your relationship with everyone else. Think about it. Do you want your children to be traumatized? Do you want your children to be dysregulated, just like yourself? I don't want to. I want my children to have a healthy communication with his or her own partner and build a loving, fulfilling family for them as well. This is for our kids. This is for our wife. This is for our family. This is what we provide as men and women as well. In order for us to have this masculine and feminine polarity that is very, very on point, we have to understand the inner work. We have to understand how to become a safe, grounded, regulated parent, father, a mother. And we can show our kids how to communicate well, how to regulate when emotions are just flaring, how to be angry properly, because we don't want to just be furious and just throw out tantrums and a rage. Imagine that what will happen to other people and how we're going to affect other people. People who hasn't done the inner work yet, who haven't self-reflect, will go through life without any path, without any guide. And we just give up at a lot of stages of life, a lot of phases of life. They don't step back and reflect on what they do wrong, what they did wrong. Hitler, think of Hitler. Why was he like that? Abusive father. There's a lot more, but you can search it up. But what I remember is that his father was abusive. And see how he turned out. And I'm not saying you have to be an abusive father to do your inner work. You don't have to have an abusive father or mother to do this inner work. You doing this right now Again, remember, I keep on telling you, it doesn't mean that you have to go through an event that is abusive, assault, or you experience getting raped. I'm sorry to say. You just being where you are right now, you might also already be traumatized. There is no single person in this world who leaves childhood without any gap. Just clean, smooth. No. Then why do you keep on sabotaging yourself in relationships? It is obviously because you went through something that was unconscious and you had to survive anyway, and your body builds these coping mechanisms in order for you to go through life in a way that your body can handle, in a way that your body thinks it's safe, but it's actually still sabotaging your relationship anyway. So I hope you understand this video, and I hope this has been very valuable to you. If you need any coaching or if you need more information on this, then DM me on Instagram at ZufaroDescend. ZufaroDescend. Zufaro Descend. Okay? I'll see you on another one, traveler.